like it if you or your child who is attending school with the opposite gender is actually being held back from being more successful? Well, there are so many kids who are struggling in schools because of all their distractions. A way that this can be resolved is by just separating the genders in the schools because of all the things that it causes, such as the emotional effects, the educational failures, and the aggressive fighting issues. If we just all took our time to look and see what's being caused, we could prevent it because all it takes is just separating the boys and girls and putting them to separate schools. And not even separate schools, also separate classrooms. It really doesn't matter. Well, education is very important. According to the Times, boys and girls learn very differently. An example is you could take the boys and put them in a separate classroom because the way they adapt to a certain person, like a teacher, and the girls have to go to a certain teacher because they don't learn the same, so put in the same classroom just isn't working. Another thing is that the students are they're too worried about impressing one another that their grades just start to fall. And of course, for parents, that's not something you want, and if you're really into your grades, as a student, you don't want that either. Girls and boys being separated could really help them get a strong mindset for their future. In high school students, it's really the time to start thinking about that and thinking about college. And if you're too distracted by the boy sitting next to you or something, you're not going to sit there and think about that. Your grades are going to fall, and then you won't have good enough grades to get into college, or a good enough college where you think you should be in. Another thing is the relationship issues. According to EBSCOhost.com, results showed that boys and girls engaged in more physical relations aggression, whereas girls engage in more relation than physical aggression. So instead of focusing on school, they're too worried about their relationships with this boy or with this girl, and that's not important at this time, especially as a high school student. And aggression is, of course, it's one of the main things that you hear about in schools, and whenever you do hear about a fight that's going on or something between two girls, it's always about a guy or a relationship. Bullying is something that goes on in lots of schools, but mainly in the ones that are mixed gendered. It's always like you hear about bullying between girls and you hear about it between boys, but it's mainly between the boys and the girls. According to girlshealth.gov, boys bully in some of the ways as girls, such as name-calling and spreading rumors. Whenever you hear a guy bullying another girl, it can hurt their self-esteem. And most parents don't want their children coming home being all upset because of the way that this guy or this girl was talking to their son or daughter. Okay, so just sit back and think about you or your child. Do you want them or you to be successful and to be able to go to school without having to worry about the educational failures, the aggressive fighting issues, and the emotional effects? Well, all of this can be avoided just by one step. Just separate the boys and girls and put them into separate schools.